Now, when you did your business plan, you put it down on paper and such. Now you're actually executing, and those numbers have to come alive now. They have to, margins have to come alive, and personnel expenses and numbers of orders and that. What's the difference between seeing them on paper and seeing them actually happen?
A lot of those things are just what I thought they would be. Things like rent and telephone expenses and those things that don't really vary so much. But the ones that do vary, or where there are variables, you do your best to stick as close to that plan as you can, but oftentimes you're going to get away from it, or there may be some things that you need to do in order to bring those numbers where they need to be. So you're constantly putting out fires and looking at different aspects of the business and figuring out, okay, today do I work on getting higher volume, or do I work on getting our website better, looking better, or what have you. There's always, at least at first, going to be a lot of issues to deal with.
How do you determine, like when you have 8 priorities today to do and you can probably do 3, what does a new business owner use as the determiner for what is the most important thing to do?
I would say anything related to your volume are the things you're probably going to deal with first. And maybe 2 of those you can hand off to a subordinate or a partner or something. And I guess that if it's something that's going to be upsetting to a customer, if it endangers losing a customer, you jump all over that because that's your future security.
What do you think is the critical step between, there's a lot of people have had good ideas and they just can't execute them, or so many businesses fail. Why is that?
I think that's in the business plan. I think it's in studying ahead of time, researching, finding out what people are willing to pay. If that business exists in other markets, don't be afraid to call them up and talk to them and talk to their customers and see if it's just a workable model.
When a person writes that business plan and then you do it and you put all these pieces in place, software, rent, drivers, whatever it is, and then you actually open the door and start doing business, there isn't any magic, is there, that suddenly all this stuff just works?
No, you think it's going to all come together like puzzle pieces, but that doesn't exactly work that way. There's always little problems that are going to pop up, things that you never thought of. And sometimes they're a surprise, and sometimes they're an easy fix, and sometimes they're not such an easy fix. But you deal with them as they come up and try to wrestle things back to where they're supposed to be in your business plan as quickly as possible.
What do you think, Joe, is the most critical personality trait or 2 that it takes to start your own business?
I think you have to have drive. You have to. Maybe you have to be a little selfish. You want to work with yourself, or perhaps you want it to be a family business, or you have certain ideas about how to run a business, and you want to do it your way, and you have to be willing to get out there and work that 16 hours a day and not turn tail and run when a seemingly monstrous problem comes your way. You got to stick to it and face it down and figure out what you got to do to fix it.
How has this changed you already?
Let's see. I'm taking tranquilizers. No. For stress. No. How has it changed me? On a good note, I think it's changed our lifestyle to giving us some of those things that we wanted, like seeing the grandbabies and the kids more than we could before. Even if they have to just stop down at the office and give Grandpa a kiss, and I have to boot them out after a few minutes. That's been really nice, and it's put definitely a different perspective in my mind as what business owners do go through. You don't just walk in and start stuffing money in your pockets. It's a longer process than you would guess. So I won't say it's made me cynical. It's made me just realize that you have to work all the harder to get what you want.
This is your first experience with actually owning your own business, is this correct?
Yes.
Okay. So have you found, obviously I know from your background that you have been in sales and are very good at sales. Now, as a business owner, you have this selling idea, but there's also the numbers side of this. How do you learn that? How do you get your arms around that?
That's a struggle because the salesperson's personality generally does not embrace sitting at the desk and going through numbers. And I have people that kick me back into line and set me down in the seat and tell me I need to do this. And I might be kicking and screaming, but they're getting me there.
Joe, one thing that must be a little challenging for you is you obviously were excellent in the field you came from, which was sales, and now you have to have all these other skill sets, and you have to learn things beyond sales to make an entire business run. How does that feel, and you know, in terms of you're having to learn, and how do you learn? How do you get off the arrogant feeling of I'm really good at what I did?
I think hopefully you're surrounding yourself with people smarter than yourself, or with an expertise in areas where you perhaps don't shine, and that can be employees, it can be your spouse, it can be friends, or family, and I've gotten help, I would say, in all of those areas. And
how does it make you feel, Joe, when you've had this, you've kind of been at the peak of your sales profession, but now you have to stop and listen to other people when you're used to giving the direction? Yeah,
it's tough to take orders then, but it's in my own best interest, certainly. And these people, if you know that they can teach you something and it's to your benefit, you've got to keep an open mind, and I don't think I find any problem in that. I look at it as a gift to me from those friends and family members and employees as well.
What do you feel is your obligation to the staff that you work with there? What as your role as a business owner, what do you owe a staff?
I think to grow that business so that they can grow along with it, especially if they've been hardworking, loyal employees, and that they grow with you through making things better for them economically, perhaps giving them a chance to run one of the future stores that you open, maybe even giving them a piece of that business. And I know that a lot of them would look forward to that. They'd love to own a piece of their own business, and they'd be willing to work very hard for you to make that happen. A lot of them, even right now, are just, pumped up and saying, we're going to be the best delivery service that there is out there.
So what does risk feel like for you right now? You're 8 days into this. There's certain risks that every business owner takes, but after you've been in a business for a number of years, you kind of know the model works, and you're at the maybe the economy is a risk or whatever, but you're just right out the chute. You're not even sure the model's going to work. What does that feel like?
I'm sure it's given me a lot more gray hair that's left, and it's eaten up a lot of my sleep at night. But I think I'll relax in stages, getting the doors open, and not going out of business the same day was one step, and making our first delivery was another step. And I think just as you progress, and you see that, hey, I think this is going to work, perhaps that stress I'm sure it's never gone. You're always going to have some worries of one sort or another, but I can see even now where it's the worry about the risk is less than it was 8 days ago.
So far, would you say you'd do it again?
Absolutely.
So if someone was thinking of starting their own small business, what advice would you give them?
Have a good plan. Think about it. Make sure you're filling a niche of some sort that needs to be filled and that people are willing to pay for.
Well, we wish you the best, Joe, and especially as you seek to start a business that can take your whole family down a new avenue, and so we wish you well.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Think I'll be discovered? I was thinking that I had told my wife I was going to probably sing a little bit. So that,
why don't you do just live on Scott's program?
So I can see if I can be discovered.
And I think that's what we want to do. I want to have someone that has that little bit of, I'm really tired and I'm drinking Diet Mountain Dew and I'm running.